What's going on, golf fans? It's your boy Gsluke here with a prize picks preview for round one for this week's Worldwide Technologies Championship at Mayakoba. Going to go through the golf course, what to expect on Thursday, but most importantly, go through the weather, see how that'll impact play, and then wrap it up with our top prize picks props here for that round, and hopefully that we can cash out on for you guys. So let's start off with what we saw in the 2021 version of this event, which was a birdie fest. A winning score of 23 under. You could see Carlos Ortiz, JT, and Scheffler rounded out the top four with scores of 19, 18, and 17 under par respectively. Your average score in the field was 1.9 shots under par. So because this is a par 71 setup, that means that the scoring average was just over a 69 average, so 69.1, which, well under par, right? Usually we see a scoring average something like half a stroke, maybe a stroke and a half under par, but anytime we get something like two plus strokes under par, like you'll see round around here at Mayakoba, you're looking at a golf course that's extremely gettable. A lot of that is due to the distance. It's not a very long golf course. You look at the scorecard yardage, it's just over 7,000 yards. You can definitely club down off the tee. It tends to be a little bit tight. So when you look at some of the metrics here, like driving accuracy, your green and regulation percentage, you're not going to see many fairways hit out there. Some in the range of like 7.5, 8 per round on average. And then in terms of your greens, slightly below average in there too. And a lot of that is because of the driving difficulty. When you're hitting out of rough, and it is a paspalum grass this week, it's always going to be a little bit tougher to hit some of those greens. And they're also not all that large. So it's only hit at a 67.1% rate. So, a little bit less fairways hit here than usual, a little bit less greens than usual, right around 12 on average per round, a little bit over 12, so like 12.1, 12.2 greens hit per round on average. But you still see a lot of scoring out there, and that's because the greens are extremely slow. They don't have a lot of undulation to them, and overall, it's a simple, straightforward golf course. Victor Hovland won this, I believe, at 20 under par in 2021. Brendan Todd won it like 24 under. I believe Kuchar was like 20, 22 under. Pretty much any time the tour has come here, they have completely torn it up, and that's been with some windy conditions. So when we take a look at Thursday, I don't want you to be too discouraged here when you see something like 10 to 12 miles an hour of winds. So you can see from the sustained side, that's what we're getting, right? 10 to 13 miles an hour. And then the wind gusts are in that 16 to 17 mile an hour range. So they're not non-existent, but that's not out of the ordinary. You're talking about a coastal golf course, which has a few holes that are exposed, a few holes that are protected with some of the trees that they have out there. It's not that much worse than what we're used to seeing. So I would expect a lot of what we saw in 2020, right, where you saw right around a 69 stroke average, similar metrics in terms of your driving accuracy and your hitting greens, maybe slightly more greens hit, because there is a little bit of weather in the forecast today on Wednesday. So if we look at today's weather, you can see they got some rain early in the morning. They also are expecting some rain tomorrow during the day. So right around between 7 to right around 3 p.m. There should be a few drizzles out there, which is only going to make their greens more receptive. So maybe we have something closer to like 12 and a half, 13 greens as an average here for round one. Green fairway percentage shouldn't change all that much. And a scoring average, I would expect to probably be even easier than what we're used to seeing. So I know that the wind gusts are there, right? They're like 15 to 20 miles an hour when it comes to your wind gusts, but they're going to be more receptive greens. I think that's going to make conditions easier. So it's a little bit speculative. I'm expecting them to go out there and absolutely tear this up. So when we take a look at the strokes board and we see guys like a Seamus Power and Matt Kuchar at 69 strokes, that's where we're going to target here. Pretty much the entire strokes board is something that I think is advantageous. So with Seamus Power, he's coming in off a win last week at the Bermuda Championship. He's going off in the morning there at 7:39 a.m., which, anytime you're targeting players in golf, the morning wave is going to be advantageous over the PM. Now, typically, there's a twofold effect to that. Usually in the morning wave, you have lower winds, also more receptive greens. The wind gusts aren't all that much lower in the morning. You can see they're pretty flat across the board, but you will have slightly more receptive conditions in the morning. So you're still going to have a slight advantage to those that are going off early. And then, like I mentioned, somebody coming in off a win that I project for a lot closer to something like sub 68 strokes rather than the 69 strokes that he's at. So I think he brings in a credible amount of push equity to the table. If not, if he goes out there, shoots something low like 3-4 under there on Thursday morning, and hits the under for us. So I'll definitely be playing Seamus Power. He'll be in plenty of my cards. And also, I like Matt Kuchar there. So he's also at 69 strokes. He's not coming in off a win, obviously, like a Seamus Power, but he loves this golf course. He's made the cut here, finished in the top 25 plenty of times at Mayakoba. He's an accurate driver of the golf ball. So, that's something I meant to mention from like a course fit perspective, because the fairway percentage is so low, guys that can hit more fairways than most, that's where you're going to get your advantage, right? You're going to see an average amount of greens hit. Again, the greens themselves are extremely simple. Some of the easiest greens, putts that you're going to have all year. You got to differentiate yourself off the tee. So Seamus Power, pretty accurate driver, but Matt Kuchar, an elite driver of the golf ball. So even though he's going off into PM wave, you can see he's right around noon. I love the course history. I love the fact that he has all of that accuracy off the tee, making them 2 picks I'm comfortable getting to. But outside of that, there's a few other guys I would consider. And, as per usual, I can't give you guys every single pick I'm getting to here on these videos. For the rest of them, you'll have to check them out on my Patreon. There will be a link in the description of the video to that, where I have 4 other strokes props that I'm taking here. So it's not just the 2 that I'm giving here, right? I'm playing a much larger portfolio here, but it's the same sort of idea. There's other solid course fits here at 69 strokes I like. There's even a few guys at 70 strokes that I would consider. And some of these elite tier options at 68 strokes, I will self-admittedly say that they're not my favorite, but they do bring a ton of push equity, right? I mean, they're going off in the morning. It's Mayakoba, Holland, and Scheffler. I don't think you can go wrong with any of those 3 options, but I prefer some of the guys that I'm taking here at this mid-tier range. So that's what I'll say. Just a few overall thoughts. I think the birdie or better board makes sense too. You could take some of these guys at 4.5. I just like the push equity that you're getting there at 69. Birdie or better matchups is never my favorite category, so I would stay away from it unless you see a matchup that you really think there's a huge difference in terms of their talent gap. I just don't see it here for the first round. Greens regulation, I think the average is going to be 12.5, 13 greens, so I think it's priced appropriately. So that's why I avoided that. Fairways hit, similar story. I think it's going to be right around 7.5, 8 in terms of your average there, and the board is priced appropriately. So, and anytime you have a single hole prop, I'll just add that at the end. Again, I'm not trying to bash the entire board. I'm just trying to talk through why I like strokes the most. This is for a single hole, and there's just so much volatility when it comes to playing a single hole. So unless tomorrow we wake up, we see hole 13's playing like half a stroke or 3/4 of a stroke under par, then maybe we want to hop on some of these unders, but I'm not really expecting that. And most of these guys are going off super early in the morning, so it's not like we can really capture that sort of edge. So unfortunately, going to be sticking with the strokes board, but given the scoring average was right around 2 strokes under, right around a 69. We have those receptive conditions. These guys like a Power in a Matt Kuchar, for example, that are well above average players for this field. We have to be projecting for, at worst, like 68.5 strokes, right? They're better than average for the field. We're going to project them for playing better than average, let alone if we account for course fit and how much I actually like them. Like just from a pure upside, pure course fit standpoint, I love both of these players. I'm projecting them for close to like 68, even 67.5 strokes. So I think they're absolute smashes and players that I'll be getting to in bunches. But that is all I've got here for this preview. I'm going to keep it as short as possible. Hopefully you guys feel a little bit more prepared for making your slips here. We try to do these previews for every single Thursday round, but if you're looking for all of my analysis, like I mentioned, it is on my Patreon page. And I do write-ups not only for the first round, but for the rounds 2 through 4 live golf if they have it, a few extra Euro Tour props that I'll take from time to time, and all of that is on the Patreon page. So again, all access to that can be found at the link down there. It's $10 a month for the golf projections, and I think you'll like what you see down there. So until next time, guys, like I said, best luck, and let's get this cash.